So on Skype, what you're seeing is you're seeing me, Anna Brandt. You're seeing baby Annabelle, our stand-in baby, and we have Sandra and Brendan, the creators of Sib Stand-in Baby, and they are live on Skype in Australia. So we've never done anything like this before, and we're just here in my California studio, and it's very new for us. So if you're watching this on the replay, sorry for the intro and the craziness of my daughters, but this is a new thing that we're trying to do. And basically, what we wanted to do on this live broadcast was introduce you to Annabelle. If you had seen my Periscope, I did a little bit with her. I'm going to do again what I did on Periscope. I'm going to wrap her. She's in froggy pose right now, so we're going to talk about that. And I'm not going to go into a whole transitional posing shoot just because we don't have time for that. And but what I wanted to do was, because Kickstarter is live and it's only going for a little while longer, I wanted to support the creators of Stand-in Baby because I firmly believe in this baby as a training tool, as a safety sample for learning how to pose newborns. Obviously, at the end of the day, it is a doll. And, you know, I know there's always concern out there where it's, well, new photographers are practicing on a doll, they're not going to be as careful with a newborn baby. Not true. Actually, this is not a new concept. Photographers and trainers, teachers, those who teach workshops, have been using dolls for years. I've seen it years ago. I remember teaching with Jennifer Turner, gosh, like 7 years ago, and I remember she had a doll. So it's been around, the idea for, you know, the concept of learning how to work with a baby for dolls for years. But never before has an actual doll been created for this purpose, to the specifications, to this level, to this degree. And what they're trying to do is raise money on Kickstarter so that these dolls can be created and spread out to all the many people that have bought these worldwide. So I'm going to introduce you to the co-creators, Sandra and Brendan. They are in Australia. They are live on Skype right now. And I just wanted to ask them some questions to give you a little bit more insight before I start working with our baby. So Sandra and Brendan, welcome. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's kind of crazy. I'm nervous.
We're nervous.
So I wanted to obviously introduce you, but tell us about you two. You're both photographers, I believe, professional photographers. Tell us, Sandra and Brendan, how long you've been professional photographers, who came up with the idea, who supported the other, how long did it take you to create this baby? Tell us the whole scoop.
Well, actually, I'm the photographer. I've been a photographer for 8 years, but the first 2 years of that was in weddings. And then just because of my clients coming to me, I managed to transition into newborns, and then,
Sorry, go ahead.
There's a delay, sorry. And so we've then moved into newborns. We were doing that for some time, but what happened is we actually lost one of our assistants during our busiest period, and so I was forced to try to train somebody up or do something, and I couldn't do anything about that. So I was no longer comfortable having somebody new working on newborns with us. So actually, Brendan and I, we were out to lunch, and we were standing in the car park, and we mutually came up with the same idea together.
Really?
Yeah.
My background, I've been managing the studio for the last 5 years now, and basically my background before that was in training and assessing. So I was a driver trainer for the first 5 years, and then the next 7 years after that, or 8 years after that, I was doing advanced driver training. So I have a lot of background with training up people and just assessing how they're learning and everything like that. And it was when we got to that point where we had to train somebody ourselves, because we had assistants in the past, but they already had previous knowledge and previous experience in the newborn photography industry, so it was quite easy to put them on. But when we got to the point where we had to train the person, it made things a whole lot harder. So it wasn't until then that I actually looked at the way that the whole system of how people are trained, that there was something massive missing. So that's when we came up with the idea.
So you're training somebody to to provide your newborn photography sessions, or to assist you?
To assist, but also because we shoot births as well and weddings. So if sometimes we've got to rush out the door, we have somebody else there that can take over. So they do assist, but they also shoot, depending on what we need from them.
Okay. That's interesting, because I've never let anyone shoot newborns for me. But I do know many studios that have second shooters, and especially if you're doing a wedding business and then you have someone doing the newborns. And I know a lot of businesses that do have people that shoot newborns. So that's interesting to me that I myself wouldn't think of that, because I'm the only one shooting newborns. But I think if you're running a high volume studio and you've got to leave your studio, you've got to be pretty comfortable with the person that you're leaving behind to work with newborns for your clients.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're very picky.
And we don't, they have to go through a lot of training with us before I would ever let them do that. And
right.
That was the hardest part, because what we would do is we would do expos and whatnot to advertise our business, and we would have this massive influx of work, and we just didn't have enough staff basically to be able to do it. So the only way to expand was to find out some sort of way that we can train someone up the way that we want, to keep up the standard that we want, and keep to the style as well, because every newborn photographer's got their own style. So we kind of wanted to keep keep it going, because people come to us for that reason.
Yeah.
So why would you not just go out and get a baby doll and practice there? What did you find? I assume you probably did that, right? And what did you find was the missing piece besides working with a baby doll versus creating your own doll?
Yeah, they all held a pose. So you can basically get an off-the-shelf doll, and if you bring its arm up, it stays there. You can't learn from that. You can't see how they fall or anything like that. It's kind of like antenatal clinics when we were having children. Practice putting a nappy on a baby and its legs just stay upright, and you're not going to really learn much from that. And I needed my assistants to know what they were doing step by step. So
it's kind of, I guess, if you looked at it as an airline pilot, instead of being in a simulator to learn how to, before they get into a plane, it's like giving them a toy plane or something like that and saying, here you go, compare this to a real plane. It just, they were never designed for the purpose, and that's why we weren't getting enough out of them.
Right. Wow. That's a good way of looking at it. Okay, so how long did it take from when you're sitting in the car talking about this to where we are now?
2 years.
2 years.
2 long years.
2 very long years. We actually, we came up with the idea, and the first thing we did was Google how to make an invention.
Yeah, how to invent something.
How to invent something.
Wow.
We actually had no idea what we were doing, quite literally.
Wow.
And the first developers we went to, it didn't work out. They weren't experienced enough in what we were trying to create. So
that's our opinion. They told us that basically it can't be done.
Yeah, we got told
Really?
several times that it couldn't be done, and not the way we wanted it. And so after about 5 months with them, we left them. We were put onto new developers, and they're actually our current development team, and they are amazing. They're just a fantastic bunch of people, and I think they enjoyed the project as much as we did.
They do.
And how did you find them? That's got to be like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, no, it was a recommendation. So we had a business advisor, and we were telling him our troubles, and he said, actually, I know these great people, and they were great, and they actually were closer to us than the other people, and we went to them with an entire box full of articulating toys and dolls and what people are currently using in the industry, and said, we want to do this, but we want to make it better.
Wow.
The one main thing that the last person told us that couldn't be done is the 2 things that kind of contradicted each other. One was to keep it as a limp, sleep-like kind of pose, almost like a feel of maybe a puppet that's available to do whatever you want, but then also restrict it in certain ways. So restricting the arms from going in unrealistic positions, or the head from turning
spinning the whole way around.
So that was such a contradiction between the 2, and that's probably where most of the development has had to happen.
So are you comfortable saying, can I have the iPad for the chat? Are you comfortable saying how much money you've put into it of your own money?
We're up to 70,000 at the moment. But
70,000.
the other thing is that in the Kickstarter campaign, none of that money covers the adjustments we need to make to SIB to get it going.
To production.
So we're roughly thinking we've got to invest about another 10,000 of our own money on top of the Kickstarter money.
Just to make the final modifications that we want to get it perfect, and then
Right.
the money that the 175 Australian that we're looking at the moment is going purely to tooling setup, production, and
Getting product
shipping.
to your door.
Shipping.
Yeah.
Wow. I know how just doing little things, come up with so much money. I mean, even when I go to the craft store with my kids and we have this great idea to make something and, $50 later, we've made like a headband,
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I want to help educate people is, how much is involved in, it's 2 years of collaboration and time, and you're still busy photographers, so you still have your day job, and then, the research and the development, and anytime you're creating anything like this, it's just oodles and oodles of money going out while you're home eating soup trying to fund this project, that you believe in. And anytime I've read anything about anyone that is successful, the things that are common are always, they've been rejected. If you look up any successful person in the world, whether it was a book or a movie or an idea that hasn't been done before, the backstory is somebody rejected them. Somebody told them it couldn't be done. Somebody put them down. Somebody told them it was going to be too expensive, but they felt driven enough that they were going to do it anyway. And then the next part is the sacrifice, the personal money, the sleepless nights, the tears, the fights, all that goes with it, right?
Yep.
And I know you're going to be successful because every time I read about successful people, they've all gone through what you're going through right now.
I describe it like a pregnancy because the emotional ups and downs and the mood swings of, I give up, it's too hard, to, yeah, we've got this, let's go for it. There has been so many ups and downs and high moments and low moments, and
there's probably about three honest times where we can say that we almost chucked it in because we just.
I'm sure.
I'm sure. The funds. It's hard to fund something like that because we just run a small business, and we do well with our small business, but
it's a busy studio. It's just
something like that is it does take a lot out of the family. So it's kind of we have had to work very hard.
And another thing we've had to do is every Sunday used to be family day for us, where we do something fun with the kids, and I think it's been the last 6 months where we've had to put them on hold. So the kids are really excited that they really want us to get there as well.
And but what a great example to kids, because we've gone through that. We have 3 children, and we're both self-employed, and we were talking about just the other day, like, when was the last time when our kids were little, we used to just pick up and ride bikes and spend like a whole day riding bikes. And when was the last time we did that? And there's so many times I know as a parent, especially now with our crazy holiday season and Christmas being 2 days away, it's and for any parent out there, it's that guilt and wanting to spend time with your family, but there's certain moments in your life where you've just got to dedicate to a project. And the only thing I could tell you to make you feel a little bit better, and I'm sure you know this, is that you're setting a fabulous example for your kids. Because when my 10-year-old comes to me and she won't put this baby doll down, and she believes in it, and she's caring for it, and then tells me, Mom, I want to make something. I want to sell something. That's what my 10-year-old said to me.
Yeah.
And so you're making a huge difference, not only in your children's lives, but in my children's lives.
Oh, good.
And to the world, and just persevering and showing our kids that if you have an idea, it's going to be hard. You're going to cry. You're going to probably give up. You're going to want to quit, and it's going to cost money, and it's going to take time. But what a fabulous, I know I don't want to get off the subject, but just what a fabulous example you're showing to these children, that one day if they have an idea, they're going to see what you went through and know the realism of doing a project like this.
Yeah. It has not one moment been easy, not one second. And I think that's why sometimes I'm so passionate about it, and it's been my life for so long, that sometimes when I get negative feedback, which is totally fine and something we need to accept for sure, but I just, it's our dream and it's our baby and it's hard sometimes. So we look at it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, we are defensive because it feels
it hurts. Yeah,
it's one of our children now. So
Yes. So I have something that might make you feel a little bit better. When my husband and I were dating, every time we would go to the movies, we'd always read the reviews. And over and over and over again, there would be a movie that got terrible reviews that would be our favorite movie.
oh,
And it became such a pattern that we would joke that if the review was terrible, we were going to go to the movie anyway because we would probably love it.
excellent.
And we've been married 16 years, and we joke all the time. We're like, oh, terrible reviews? That means it was fabulous. It was thought-provoking. It was something different. It was out of the box. It wasn't the norm. So I think that, anytime there's something new, there's something different. I think I shared in a message with you that Oprah Winfrey gets beat up like every day. It's like, if I was her, I would have quit a long time ago, So I think that, it bums me out to hear that anyone would be negative about any project because I see how hard you're working. And I get bummed out when someone says negative things about me. I think it's just any industry. My kids, when they come home from school and they get bummed out because someone said something bad about them, I think, unfortunately, it's the world we live in. And I want to tell you that there's a lot of people supporting you and saying that to keep it going. I know you see it in the chat room, that keep it going, because I know, and now we're going to talk about the benefits of SIB and why this is so important. Okay, we know it's blood, sweat, and tears. It's taken 2 years, this idea, and cost you precious family time. Now let's talk about, the benefits of why we need this. Who is this for? This is for several different people. So, I know you have a photographer that's there with you that's new to the newborn part, not new to photography, but new to the newborn part. So let's go at it before I start demonstrating the baby and tell us who would use this. If I'm at home and I'm thinking, gosh, it's 2 days before Christmas. I know your Kickstarter goes through January, and we'll have you tell the end date. And I know there's a raffle that I'll have you explain what's going on. But if I'm back in my house watching this and I'd say, gosh, seems like a lot of money, what benefits would I get? Why would I invest in this? And you don't have to justify the cost to me, because I know when it comes to lenses and equipment and backpacks, just a camera backpack is like $400.
Yes.
That's just a camera backpack. So I know that the photography industry, this is not a cheap industry. This is an expensive industry. Just getting poly paper for the floor is $200. So I think when it comes to the price, I don't really listen to the negative reviews about price, because I know how expensive this industry is in general, and it's going to be a long-term goal. But I want you to just tell us why someone should get this and what you think the benefits are.
Well, I'll start, but I think there's benefits in many different sort of parts of newborn photography. For one, let's start with trainers. Trainers, there's been some feedback that people think that we're trying to replace trainers and workshops, and that's so not the case, because I'm not telling you how you should be posing a baby or working with a baby or how you can recreate, say, Anna Brandt's style. But what I can do is I can put SIB in Anna Brandt's hands so she can show her style and she can, work it out and demonstrate it step by step. So I think the learning process is very important and very needed, but I'm just trying to help with how people teach and how they show, because you can get a baby, you can do a call out and get a baby into your studio, but they could be unsettled. It might be feed time, you're working to their schedule. Whereas as with SIB, where, you can grab it, you can try out a few poses, you can sit there and go step by step. One hand goes here, second step, holding on to this section and pull this hand across. And the thing with newborns is that every trainer teaches slightly different. Like Stephanie Robin is really based on bone structure and placement, and to make sure that everything's safe that way. And then you have other people who are like, well, here's my creative style and I like to do this and add these things in. And so definitely workshops are still super important, and that's not going to change. But what it is going to do is it's going to be that little bit in the middle. So you've been to a workshop and you've been shown what you need to be shown. But now you can go home and you can practice. And you can practice anytime you want. If you only have time late at night or early in the morning, sit there. And you can just sit there and you can practice and practice. And then, of course, you now need to work with a real baby. So we're not saying you don't need real babies as well. But now you have the fundamental techniques that you need to be able to then get that baby, and instead of stressing and worrying about, am I doing it right, am I holding this right, you can now worry about the safety of the baby. So if the baby's a bit squirmy, you can go, well, I've got this, so I'm going to worry about the squirming of the baby rather than if I've got the hand in the right place. So it just gives you that confidence to know, I'm doing this, I'm doing it right. I've been shown by a professional, and now I can concentrate on the baby that I have right here in my arms right now. So, I mean, you're still going to have to learn because the baby's squirming and how to do all of those things. But at least you know that you have the confidence to know that you have the technique right. And now I just need to work with getting and understanding the baby right. Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? Years ago, I became certified in CPR. And as you're speaking, it's reminding me that we had the CPR adult doll. And this CPR certified doll, it's a very specific, like you just can't grab an adult doll. It's a very specific doll. So the neck comes up and you squeeze the nose and you push the chest. And the CPR teaching doll is very, very specific. And that was how I became CPR certified, using this adult doll.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare that you can find an industry that does not use some sort of simulated technique to be able to teach people. It's very, very rare. So I have no idea why the newborn photography industry is so against having some sort of a simulated.
Well, not everybody's against it. There is a small portion. But to be honest, I feel this way. I might not be right, but maybe they're just concerned about what this means for them and their business. Like trainers, maybe they're worried that we're trying to say, oh, this is going to replace trainers, or
it can't.
It can't replace the knowledge that these people have and these people can give you. It's just affording you practice time to learn your techniques.
So I guess what, from a training perspective, I've sort of seen that if you, in the newborn photography industry, you've got sort of your one-on-one tutorials, and then you've got your group sessions that you have. The one-on-one seems to be great because you've got that person's exact, you've got their attention the whole time. If what we want to do is we want to add a tool to both of those, okay? The first one is the one-on-one before the baby comes in. We think that if you were to spend hours practicing, like Sandra said before, the exact technique, I like to compare it to sort of dance moves, that you would slow the dance down and eventually you continue to add on it and build on it and build on it until the person is able to actually get the posing correct, and then you would get that maybe the model call out or something like that when you bring them in. Like Sandra said before, the focus, 80% of the training is done. You're not worrying about, am I holding the head correctly? Am I putting the hands where I need to be now? You can put so much more focus on the baby and the baby's well-being. So we actually see it as being such a safe advantage that instead of overthinking everything, which is kind of like Jamie sort of, it's very overwhelming when you're trying to think about all of it.
Can I explain, Jamie?
Well, you say that, yeah. So what all I was going to say was, when you're saying that, you know what I thought of? Dancing.
Yeah.
You put the feet down on the ground. And when you're trying to learn dancing, I'm not a dancer, but I have 2 daughters that are dancers, and you put the feet down on the ground and you're trying to get all of the steps.
Yep.
Obviously, you need a partner to do the dance,
yep.
But if you can get the technicality down of where the feet go,
yep.
And then
it's one less thing to think of when you have your partner.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
So tell me...
Just one last thing on that is that basically with a real newborn baby, you cannot slow things down. You cannot bring it down to steps. You just can't do that because, as we all know, they have a window of opportunity where they're settled, they're happy, they're content.
And they're only going to put up with so much. You can't keep trying that pose over and over because they won't put up with that.
Yeah.
No, well, one of the things, we're going to talk to Jamie in a minute, but one of the things that I'm going to do in training is just the wrapping. So when I taught in Australia, I had went to Sydney and Melbourne, and we I was like, we should have wrapping clinics, because every workshop I go to, the number one is wrapping a baby.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, really? No, you can do this. And there has not been a workshop for 8 years that 90% of my workshop students, and I've taught beginner to people that have been around 30 years, that wrapping wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
And so I was like, gosh, we should just have like a wrapping clinic where, and we can do this if you guys are coming to WPPI, where they can, just come and wrap the baby over and over and over again. And so that when you have the real baby, it's like this. Because it's the same, and the wrapping is like the number one problem.
Yeah.
People every day, every single day on my YouTube channel, I get a message, how do I get babies to sleep? I mean, honest to God, if I'm not asked this question 50 times a day. And I'm always amazed because my method, like many photographers, is the same. Telling the mom to feed the baby before the session, but the very first thing I do, because the baby's in a new environment, is wrapping that baby. Well, to a new photographer, if you cannot properly wrap a baby, you're going to have a really rough session. Yeah. So to me, just that alone, getting that wrapping technique, you don't have to have a squiggly, wormly, live baby to learn how to wrap. You can easily learn how to wrap on SIB, for sure. And have a so much smoother time when you go to use it with a real baby.
Which actually reminds me, because one of the other questions we'd been getting was, will the wrap get caught in SIB's joints? And we've actually just done up a video about this that we're going to put up shortly. But I had a wrap and I was just gliding it over him and tucking it into him, and he does not, the wraps will not stick or get caught, because as you would know, the material, like he's a hard material, but it's very smooth. Right. And so
and we're going to show that today as well. We're gonna wrap today, so we'll show that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk to Jamie real quick. Tell us who Jamie is.
So Jamie, basically, she's come to work for us. We really liked her and we got along really well with her, and she takes amazing photos, but she's not a newborn photographer. But I knew she'd do great with my clients, so I wanted to be able to teach her how to be a newborn photographer, teach her of my styles and the way I do things. And we knew we had SIB on the way by that point. And so one afternoon, I just finished shooting. Jamie had been watching, and she was just about to leave for the afternoon. And I said, come over here. And this was with our blue prototype SIB. So if you can imagine, it was
avatar baby.
Yes, it was lightweight and clunky.
Yeah, it was 3D printed in a hard plastic. And it just most of the articulations weren't.
They weren't 100% on, so it wasn't even as good as what we have right now. Yeah. But I took Jamie over to our beanbag, and I step by step took her through how I did it, where I held, the procedure, like just the technique, the flow of 2 poses. It was only 2 poses, and I showed her them step by step. I gave her prototype SIB and said, look, have a play tonight and come back tomorrow. And I was literally amazed, wasn't I? Yeah, I was so excited, because the next day I said to her, we've got a baby coming in, can you kind of show me what you know and what you've learned? And I was right there beside her the entire time, and she nailed it. You absolutely nailed it, to the point where, sorry, excuse me, to the point where I said to her straight after it, I need to take your photo, we need to do a blog. So yeah, tell us about that.
Oh, it was amazing. You basically showed me within 30 minutes.
It was very quick.
It was quick. It was 2 poses, and it was this is the way you put it down, because, if you don't put it down right, legs are going to go flying and this, that, the other. And then here I am taking SIB home. I'm practicing in my washing basket. And I put, towels and because I don't have a beanbag at home, so I'm trying to improvise. And I'm putting towels and whatnot to, put the baby propped up. And I'm practicing with my eyes shut, just getting the feel of it, and it was just amazing how quick you can just adapt to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she totally nailed it. She, I was but then Brendan turned to me and he was like, yeah, but that's what you wanted. That's what you built for. And I was like, I know, but it was I'm
Yeah.
so excited, and that's why we put her here today, because we're like, you need to tell your story. As an inexperienced newborn photographer, what you were able to do in like one night.
Yeah.
Because she was back the next morning.
This is also coming from a mum of 3 children.
Yes,
So.
and you know, having children is and holding your own babies and feeding and caring for and holding it is so different than posing a baby. You don't know, you know, how the legs tuck in. You don't know, you know, the baby's gonna be, you know, cranky and colicky, and how are you gonna settle that within that pose? And you know, it's just so different than being a mom to your own kids and posing, you know, someone else's child.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
But do you know what? Not all newborn photographers are moms.
Yeah, and that's very true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was a newborn photographer before I became a mom.
Right.
And even though I was Aunt Anna for 10 years and felt like I knew everything about babies and kids and worked in a church nursery, until I had my own child, I had no idea what I was doing. No idea. And I think back to, gosh, when I started, if I had something like this, and every time I have a workshop, there's always 1 or 2 people that tell me, hey, can I make it because I don't have children? And almost every, I'm going to get you guys on Periscope so we can get more people to jump on here. In almost every workshop, someone says, I don't have a child. You know, how can I do this? How can I prove myself? And so then I look at it as, gosh, if I was a newborn photographer and I didn't have children, I could then show my client the poses that I wanted to do, and then my client would feel more comfortable that I'm working with this doll. And so do you think that that's a good angle to be able to show parents what you're trying to do?
Yeah, and I think exactly what you're saying, but even more so with younger kids, because you've got to remember that some of them are like obviously the older child, and because we shoot between 3 and 10 days old, they haven't even had time to adjust to this baby yet. They don't even know what it means to them yet. And to, you know, and then I'm saying, hold it this way, or, you know, lay down here and I'm going to put it in your arms, or whatever that might be. And that's, you know, you don't know what their reaction might be because they haven't had an adjustment period yet. So not only do parents are unsure, but kids.
They're in a studio with lights pointing at them.
Which is already an unfamiliar environment.
It's quite full on for them, so you don't know really how they're going to react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing real quick is we want to get more people on our channel. So I am going to do a 2-second interruption and tell the Periscope audience, hi guys, that we are live on AnnaBrandtLive.com. I'm doing a quick Periscope commercial to tell you to go to www.AnnaBrandtLive.com because I am talking to Sandra and Brendan, the co-creators of Stand-In Baby. And we have a stand-in baby here. She's right here. She's in the froggy pose. And there's the camera. And if you look at the iPad, there I am with Sandra and Brendan. So I would love for you to jump over to Anna Brandt Live. You're going to hear Sandra and Brendan. We already have 112 people that jumped on my Periscope. Some of you had said they're listening all along. Great info. Thank you, Anna. So, Alex, maybe we can get one of the girls to hold this for just about a minute. We'll stay on Periscope to get more people to jump over to the channel. Some people are inviting other followers. So, again, this is Anna Brandt. We're live in my studio. This is Annabelle, my stand-in baby. She's there, and we are on our YouTube channel. There's Alex recording, and Ava or Olivia, somebody just show them what we're doing so that we can get them to jump over to our YouTube channel. That way, I love to jump on Periscope, tell our Periscope people what we're doing. Go to AnnaBrandtLive.com, and you can talk to Sandra and Brendan. So real quick, I think what I want to do next before we show some poses that I'm going to do with the baby, and I'm going to wrap her, is let's talk about the Kickstarter program and let's talk about the raffle. So with the Kickstarter program, I want to know, when does it end? And how much more money do you need to raise? I think you want to go past what you want to raise, so we can talk about that as well. And let's talk real quick also about the amazing raffle that vendors are jumping on left and right to support you guys. I know you've received some negative feedback, but you've got a lot of people supporting you as well. So let's talk about the Kickstarter program.
Okay, first of all, yes, we've had a little bit of negative feedback, but the positive feedback, the people that we have met through this experience has been
including yourself.
amazing.
You know, sometimes we're overwhelmed with how how amazing people have been as well.
It's hard because thank you. Thinking of different words to say thank you because we want to try and mix it up because there's so many times we're thanking people because it is awesome.
And it's almost like it's lost its meaning.
Yeah.
I really want people to know, so I've started writing it in capitals. So it's like, thank you.
Thank you! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
Yeah.
Smiley face! Thumbs
So,
up!
I don't know how I can say it with more meaning at the moment, but so.
I quick run through with Kickstarter for anyone who doesn't actually know what it is. It's called crowdfunding. The concept is basically if you have an invention or a concept that you've come up with. There's people actually on there with albums for their music band or movies or anything like that. Basically, you put it up there, and because certain things like production is very, very expensive, what we do, we put it up there. People can pre-purchase it through this facility, and if it all reaches its goal to be able to head to production, that's when we receive the funds. But we don't actually receive the funds unless we reach that goal. So that's a kind of the good thing we liked about Kickstarter. There were other crowdfunding sites there that would give you the money anyway, but we didn't really agree with that because if we don't get to that point, we can't go to production. So we don't really want the money unless we can go that extra step further.
We don't want to just take people's money and not give them anything in return. Which if we don't reach our goal, we can't do what we need to do.
So if you don't meet your Kickstarter goal, what is your Kickstarter goal?
Sorry?
Okay, so in Australian dollars, it's 175,000.
Yep.
But I think it's around 129, 144 in American dollars. I'm not
sorry,
129, in US dollars or something like that. But in Australian dollars, it's 175, and at the moment in Australian dollars, we're at 144 as of today. So, and the first 100,000 we actually reached in the first 4 hours of launching it. So we were like excited and then worried and excited some more.
It's a roller coaster. Yeah.
So when does the Kickstarter end?
It ends on the 8th of January. In 2016, obviously. We put it for a 30-day campaign. You can choose 30 or 60. We chose the 30. And we've also got something we call a stretch goal, which I'm hoping to organise this afternoon our time, is that a stretch goal is basically if we are to exceed our goal by a certain amount, we can then, because we will have more funds to be able to play with, rather than us putting that back in our pocket, we would rather put it back into the product to make the product even better. Currently, you'll see with Annabelle, your sieve at the moment has stainless steel joints, but if I show you on this one, these ones are polyurethane joints, so they are, it's a tough plastic they use in automotive suspension components and stuff like that. So it'll do the job perfectly. But
can you show that close to the camera?
Yeah.
Yours?
Do you want to?
Yeah. Sorry. I'll also quickly mention that we have our sieve dressed in this cute little outfit that was just sent to us from Sweet Little Melody.
Yep.
But can you see the joints? Or am I showing it in the camera okay?
Yeah, I think I can see
So
it. What if you hold it up closer? There we go.
The white section?
Yes, I see that.
And but your one that we sent you was with the stainless steel. Stainless steel joints.
Oh, I see. Yes, yes.
Your ones are what we would like everybody to get. So at the moment, everybody's getting what we have, and if we exceed our amount and we get to and we then can put up a stretch goal where they all get your stainless steel components.
So whenever you purchased it, it doesn't matter. You will still receive the stainless steel components. The next stretch goal after that I want to announce today as well is going to be we'd really love to incorporate a case. Originally we wanted a case, but again funds didn't really allow for it. Cost
that we would have to make the cost even more expensive.
Yeah.
Sure.
So what we're looking to do is incorporate some sort of a case, a nice hard case for safekeeping. So basically you can protect your asset that you've got.
And how much more money would you need to have the case? Because I know I would love the case. I think all photographers would want the case. So how much more do you need to get the case?
I'd have to double check pricing and stuff like that, but I'm hoping around around 15 to 20,000 would be the first stretch goal, and 15 to 20 for the next one is a rough guideline to go by. So it'd probably be another maybe 50 babies all up for people to be able to get a case and to be able to have the stainless steel, which the case would just be awesome.
Look, I know feedback is people think it's out of their reach financially, and like you said, our industry is full of things that are out of our reach and that we need. But what we want, so we've had a struggle between keeping the price down, so like not including a case and not including the stainless steel parts, even though we think they're amazing, because we're trying to balance cost versus
functionality and just the product, to make the product all it can be. I mean, even during the design process, there was that many times that the developers would actually say to us, now, Sandra, do you actually need the ankles to be able to turn the way that they do?
Because we could make it much cheaper if we didn't do that.
So much cheaper. And it got to the point where basically it was either all in with the articulations, because the amount of moving parts, that's why it's so expensive. Each of these parts needs its own steel mold to be created for it to be able to produce over and over. And
we're a small run order. So if I could order 1 million of them right now, which would be amazing.
They'd be like $20 a day.
Yeah, they'd be like, it's super cheap.
Awesome,
but you know,
it's a small run.
It's a small run and lots of parts and lots of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so one more question on the Kickstarter is, if the 30 days comes, like, does the stretch goal have to be in the stretch goal have to be in those 30 days?
Unfortunately,
so you can't go past the 30 days?
No.
It does have to be within those 30 days. So if we reach our goal, then that's great, because it's going to production. Everybody's going to get one. That's purchased. Everything like that will go well.
And what it's being supplied as is perfectly fine.
Yep.
You know, like, you can get a SIB without a case, and you can, the difference in the joint, they're not going to make any difference. It's just it looks nice, and having a case is lovely. So it's not going to change anything, but if we get that little bit more, we can afford to do a little bit more by investing back in.
It does. Sure. It does have to be done within that campaign. Kickstarter also takes, on our Kickstarter campaign, as you scroll through, there is a little graph there that explains where each of the funds are going. Kickstarter takes roughly 8%, 8 to kind of around 10%, depending on how people look of the money that we're actually earning. So, but, I mean, it's a great service. It's
a good service. Taxes as well is included in that. So
there's a
and postage. So
And didn't I read something that if you're in Australia, it's 100% tax deductible?
Yeah, well, kind of. So how it works is that because it's an asset and it's under $20,000, and we have checked with our accountant, but I don't know if I'm saying it exactly right. It can come off your tax bill, your taxable income. Is that right?
Yeah, basically it used to, when you would have an asset for your business, you used to have to claim it over a period of, say, 5 years, whereas you can claim 100% of the depreciation of the asset in the one hit. So that's just an incentive they've got at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I tax write off. I mean, I write off everything I buy. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I would add this in the mix for sure. Yeah. So tell us about the raffle, and then I'll go into working with little Miss Annabelle a little bit. So tell us about the amazing raffle that's going on right now.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure, I'm going to be honest, I think it was your idea, and you know.
Was it? I don't even remember. I think we were talking in the middle of my night, so I cannot remember what I say in the middle of the night, but when my marketing mind starts going, I'm sure it came out somewhere.
You, myself, and Faith were chatting, and
there's a few other people who
a few other people we were kind of chatting, and we, you know, everyone was sort of saying, you know, do a raffle, and I was like, yeah, let's do it, and then I asked people, I emailed some of the really important contributors to our campaign so far, and asked them, like, would you like to supply something? And like yourself and Kelly Brown and whatnot, they've all contributed so much, and then lots of smaller vendors have got on board and go, you know, I really want Standing Baby to happen. What can I contribute? I really want to be a part of this. And that's actually what we've heard. I just want it to get through. So
Basically, we've set up a raffle where you can purchase tickets. They start at $15 for the one. Otherwise, there's packages where you can get more. The funds will go through to a PayPal account that we've set up, and 100% of those funds will then be put into the Stand In Baby campaign
from us. So it'll be like we will set up a pledge of that amount that goes straight into the Kickstarter campaign. And at the moment, we haven't done a proper calculation, but I reckon we've got $6,000 to $7,000 worth of gifts and
including a
donations, including a Stand In Baby.
Yeah.
Saying that.
Wow.
If we don't.
I'm going to enter. Am I allowed to enter the raffle?
No, I want to enter. I feel really bad if I won though.
Yeah, I don't know. Can the vendors?
Vendors have asked me. I've said yes. Why not? You know, like you can't read it. I probably could. But no, I think we actually have quite a few vendors because I think the competition we're running could actually set up somebody from nothing to something. You'll have all the props. You'll have the Stand In Baby. You'll have
the tuition
and advertising is in there as well.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff.
You could start a whole new business with this raffle.
Yeah. So we'll be drawing that on the 4th of January, so 4 days before our campaign ends, and we're going to draw it live on Periscope.
And the reason it's earlier is because we have to have enough time to get the funds out of there and into Kickstarter. So we just want to allow time to
for the bank transfers and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea. I wish you guys nothing but success. I have really no doubt that it's going to reach its goal, and my prayer is that it surpasses it. I know there's a lot of photographers supporting you, and my goal for 2016 is that we can just come together as an industry and just support each other. We're not all going to agree. We're not all going to have the same style. We have all different personalities, but I think that our end goal is all the same, right?
Yep.
At the end of the day, we want to be profitable, successful, safe photographers, right? Isn't that what everybody wants?
Yep.
And so I think if we can just come together as a community and say, this is what we all want. You know, as Oprah Winfrey says, we all want to know that we matter. We all want to have common goals. And I think if we can just come together as a photography community in our teaching methods and coming up with safe practices and some standards, you know, if you think about it, when I started training 8 years ago, hardly anybody was training. And since then, there's photographers that have been in business a year and are teaching workshops.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? Like, you just started. How are you teaching? And I'm baffled because, you know, I've been doing this 16 years and I feel like I'm still learning. And so I think that it's kind of come to a point where we need some standards. We need some best practices. I'm hoping PPA can even, you know, help out with just coming up with some safety newborn practices. I mean, if I have to spend a day with a doll to get CPR certified and get my certificate, we need something like that in the newborn industry because it's kind of along the same guidelines.
It does really, I don't know, I find it quite hard to wrap my head around how behind the industry is with certain things like that. I mean, I have one of my best friends is an electrician, and he's not allowed to walk in certain locations. He has to wear high-vis outfits. There's so many different regulations that he has to go by, yet this industry basically has nothing at all. So,
no. I think that's going to change. I think it's time, and I think it's going to change because at the end of the day, what I say to my staff is no amount of insurance in the world is going to protect you if something happens to you.
And I don't think you could live with yourself either.
No.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
No, you'd be done. Yeah. And so it's just not worth it. You know, if this is what you want to do and this is your life and your livelihood and this is something I want to do till I can't do it anymore, then investing into the business, this is just one more type of investment tool, just like buying a lens.
And it literally is a tool. It's basically, it's something that you still need that personal training. You still need somebody to be there and actually talk you through exactly what you're doing. We're just giving them an outlet to be able to do it. That's all it is.
In saying that as well, because we know not everybody can afford it, we want everybody to have an opportunity, though, to use SID. And so we've developed a rental program where we have photographers or or prop people from around the world who are buying too, so that they can rent them out and give opportunity to those that can't afford them to at least get that training that they need at the start. And I think that's really important too. So
yes, the rental program. That's going to be huge.
Yeah, we'll have a directory on our website. So we're supporting anybody who does that. We're going to have a directory on our website. So you'll just look up your location and they'll tell you the closest. And especially if they do end up coming in the hard cases, it's just going to be so awesome for shipping and everything like that.
Yeah.
If you were to post them interstate or something like that, it'd be really good.
We honestly, we care about newborn safety. Like, we are passionate about it. So it's not about everybody having to buy and own one. At least, even if you can't afford that, back the people who are renting them out, support them, and at least, you know,
you'll have it available.
Get the techniques that you need, and you know,
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think I even have rented lenses in the past when I wanted to buy them, but I didn't want to spend the money. I remember when I had to spend the money for the 7200 lens. That's an expensive lens, and I wasn't just going to go out and purchase it, so I rented it first.
Exactly.
And then I went out and I made the purchase. So I think the rental idea is fabulous.
And I think it makes it available to everyone. And that's
Yeah. So in the live chat, someone put a link to your Kickstarter page, and they put a link to the raffle as well.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this, you'll be able to see this. And we are planning, right now we're on the Anna Brandt Live channel, but on my YouTube channel where we have 3.5 million views right now and lots of subscribers, we are going to take this recorded version, right, Alex, and put it on my main YouTube channel, right? So if they miss this, it'll be on my main YouTube channel maybe tomorrow. Yes? He says yes. Alex says yes. So it'll be when we get the link to my actual YouTube channel. And do you guys have a YouTube channel as well?
We do. It's just called Stand Baby, but I think we've got 2 videos on it at the moment. We plan on building that and growing that. You know, but
well, we could probably send them our video too, right, Alex? And they could put it on their channel as well.
And the other thing is that just lost my train of thought. Sorry, go on.
It's gone.
Gone.
It's gone. It's okay. Okay, so it's already 7 o'clock. Where did the time go? So what we're going to do is I'm going to spend a little bit of time showing Stand Baby. We've called her Annabella. We named her during our Periscope. And so she's in froggy pose right now. And I'm going to just explain a little bit about the froggy pose. And then I'm going to wrap her to show you that you can wrap a stand-in baby. I was going to go through a whole kind of transitional thing, and maybe we'll save that for another live video. I think that when I first thought of doing this, it was to do that. And then the more I started looking at your campaign and realizing you guys needed a voice, even though you've been putting your voice everywhere, I felt like I wanted to give you another channel for your voice. And so I think tonight kind of switched gears, and I felt like I just wanted to give you guys the microphone and speak and tell people who you are.
Thank you so much.
So with that being said, I'm just going to do a couple of things with Stand Baby. But if you're watching this, I promise you there are many more videos to come because I have a prototype with me that I'm going to be doing a lot of things with. And I know you have someone else doing videos as well. I don't know the photographer's name in Australia.
There was a girl, but we've basically been getting locals and saying, do you want to give Sib a go? And so if they don't live too far away, like we have 2 Sibs at the moment because there was 3 in total. And somebody right now is out there with one giving it a shot right now. And that's actually very valuable because they're giving us feedback that could help with the design process as well. So
yeah. I have one question for you. One design question. Will the back be flexible at all?
No.
Are you talking about the top half of the back?
Well, so I'll take her out of Froggy for a minute.
Sure.
When I wrapped her on the Periscope thing, I immediately wanted to curve her.
We
round her back.
Just as a heads up, we have a delay on the image right now, so we probably won't see that for about a minute.
Okay.
But are you talking about the top half? Do you want to take the
hands off?
Hands off so we can explain?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the top half of the back this section here.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So did you see my?
No, not
did you
yet.
see
Oh, we're
my-
seeing it
Hang on,
now.
it's coming through now. Second.
Oh, yep. Okay. So actually, the entire midsection through here is going to change, because we've been speaking with Stephanie Robin, and it definitely needs to curve more. It definitely needs to go a little bit more side to side, and I'm pretty sure we're going to try and get a little bit more movement out of the back as well. But all of that is going to be increased, and it is. That is something, that's actually one of the main things that we'll be changing. The weights get a little bit heavier and things like that.
Okay,
I'm
good.
sure that-
Yeah, that was the only thing I noticed is I was like trying to curl her a little bit more, and I realized I couldn't.
So you're okay with the articulation of where it is and everything like that? It's more, you want it to curve more?
I just wanted her this area, her torso, to be a little bit more flexible.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, that is actually something we're working on.
Oh, perfect. then if that happens, I think she's perfect.
And I agree. It just needs that little bit more. But being the first prototype, the first hard sort of.
It's the first silicon version that we've made, so.
Yeah, and so from here, well, that's also why we started our Kickstarter campaign now, because if there was no interest in it, we don't want to go through several more production models to get it perfect if people aren't interested.
Yeah.
But
we basically wanted to take it as far as we possibly could. Whether we've got a manufacturer on board, we've got the design is very, very close to being finished, and our design team have even gone through any of the troubles that are going to happen during the manufacturing process. So when things are actually taken out of each mold and everything like that, they've readjusted the design to make sure it's all going to work. So we've actually planned very, very far in advance. So it's going to minimise the amount of time before people get it. A lot of the time on Kickstarter, you're probably looking around a year to 2 years before it actually arrives at somebody's door, whereas we've really cut that down to around the 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bought a drone. Like, how long ago did I buy Lily? 9 months ago? I bought Lily, my drone, like 9 months ago. Her name's Lily. And so I bought her 9 months ago. I still don't have her. And now the government is putting out all these rules about the drones.
Same here in Australia.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to get like this, like I'm going to have to get registered, and like when she does arrive, I'm going to have to it's going to be like getting a driver's license to use her. So I've been very patient. I get my emails about Lily from time to time, and I think about her. And one day she'll arrive, and I really got her for Alex, so Alex has work to do, but when Lily does come, Alex, we're on it. So I think that if people are new to Kickstarter, they have to understand that, you've got to be patient and just, I look at it as, it's an investment, and then you just kind of sit back and forget about it and let the people that are building this do their work, and when it's ready to come, it'll come.
It is different to buying something off the shelf. It is. You're coming in from a very early side of the production process, but the good thing about that is a lot of people have influence on the production as well, which is great, because if people are to give us feedback, it's only going to make it better.
And we understand that SIB's not perfect right now, and but we want to make those adjustments so that the product that all the contributors receive is perfect. It is right. I don't want them to get it and go, oh gosh, this is not what I was hoping for. This won't what I wanted it to.
Yeah.
That's what that 6 months is for. We want to get it right. We want to make it great. And then when our people who have pledged finally receive it, they're going to look at it and go, oh my God, I had no idea, it's amazing. And that's what we want.
Yeah.
That's why I did actually put that in the risks and challenges section of the Kickstarter campaign. I said that if it does come down to it, and there is a point there where we're able to rush things just to get a product out there, it just won't happen. Something that we've already done 2 years, so we are going to make sure that it's going to be perfect. We're going to keep looking at it until it is.
Yeah, we're not going to send anybody a half-done product just because they want it. Yeah. We want to send them the right product, and we want them to love it.
Yeah. And look, photographers, we are so impatient. We need to learn patience.
We are so impatient.
Oh, yeah.
So impatient. Okay, awesome. I'm so glad this worked out with Skype. Definitely stay on there, and if you see something in the chat when I'm working with her, feel free to just start talking or interrupt me to address some things. So basically, the last time I did this on Periscope, and the reason why I wanted you guys on Skype was as I started working with her, the questions were coming so fast. We couldn't answer them. So as I start working with her, if you're watching this, go in the chat area and type in a question, and Sandra and Brendan can either type back or verbally respond with the answer. Because Alex, if we save this on the live channel, will the transcript save or no?
What transcript?
Like this chat transcript? No?
No.
No. So we don't. This chatting that's going on right now, I don't think saves. So maybe if someone asks a question, if you can just verbally respond, that way it's in the video. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. So what I was showing, Alex, do you need to lower the camera? So you can take the iPad, Liv. So as, I know there's a little bit of a delay, but I'll just show you what I had shown in the Periscope, how flexible she is, that her head falls back like a real baby. And, you know, if you're taught anything with babies is to hold the head, and that's number one. Even my daughters know that. And so if you don't hold that head, her head's going to fall off, Ava says. She's very, very flexible in the legs. What we were talking about earlier is wanting the flexibility in the back that's coming. She's solid. She's a solid baby. So if I was doing a froggy pose, we actually did a froggy pose with my newborn today that was 5 days new and 10 pounds, 2 weeks overdue, and was 10 pounds. I felt like I had another Australian baby because in California, people are usually induced. Nobody, in the past 5 years, I've had 2 people 2 weeks overdue, and they've both been this month, which is bizarre to me. So this woman was 2 weeks overdue, and she came in with a 10-pound baby. And I was going to put him again. Since I've had Annabella, is it Annabelle or Annabella? I don't even know. I have to look. All my babies have been big. I had one teeny tiny baby on Saturday. She was 3 weeks old and 6 pounds. And I couldn't compare her because she was screaming the whole time. And then the other 2 babies I have had that I posted a picture on Instagram was huge. And then today's baby was huge. I'm like, I need my teeny tiny California baby so that I can do a comparison again. So it's ironic that since she's been here, I haven't had my teeny tiny babies. I've had all the big babies that were like in Australia. Because when I went and taught in Australia, I was shocked at how big the babies were. So basically, the beanbag situation that I have underneath, and this is where I really think is also a good training tool, is because everybody always wants to know what's underneath the blanket. That is kind of the next question that I get and a lot of photographers get. I use posing beanbags that are from my own brand. We sell them in our store. And so I'm all about the posing beanbags for the safety of the baby. So what's great about using a stand-in baby is when you're training someone, you can tell them where to put your support tools. I know some people use towels or they roll up blankets. I use beanbags. So, you know, it's important to be able to show this, and then you can put the baby on it. I've got 3 blankets here. The beanbag system that I'm using is the Plum Michelle that I brought back from Brazil that's getting a lot of attention. She is also somebody that is changing the newborn world with some of her products. And so with a froggy pose, you know, the biggest thing is having a little dip for the baby's bum and bending the feet. And so with a newborn baby, I would be making sure that my hands are on this head and getting the feet situated, because you want the butt to be lower than everything else. And not every baby is going to do a froggy pose. And honestly, out of all the babies I do, I probably only do froggy pose on about 10% of my babies. I don't do it with every newborn. And what I often do is I hold the baby. Can you see down here, Alex? If a client says, "Can you do froggy?" I actually will hold the baby on my lap in froggy position to see if they're going to do it. And if their belly is hard or they're gassy or they don't bend, I'll tell the mom it's not going to happen. This baby's not going to do froggy. If I can't get to this on my lap holding the baby, I'm not even going to attempt to do it on the beanbag. So my biggest advice with any type of pose is to hold the baby first. Feel the baby, feel the belly. Do they feel like they're comfortable? This baby that I had today, he was only 5 days. And even though he was 10 pounds, he was extremely flexible. So he had no problem doing it. A 2 or 3 week old baby would probably have a harder time doing it. And then getting the butt back here and getting the feet up. Now, I would always have at least one spotter, if not two, next to me. I would never do this alone. And the idea is that I want to get the hands under the baby. The number one issue that we have with the froggy pose is the hands are usually clamped. They're usually like this. That was my baby today. His hands were totally clamped. And so my goal is to get a baby in the position, push the butt down, get the feet curled up, and try and get the wrists close together. And I'm holding here and here. And if their hands are all balled up, then what I'll usually do is give them a pacifier and hold here and here. Just pat their back and support them and see if they start to relax. So with the baby today, it was about 10 minutes where his hands were balled up, but he was sitting comfortably in this position. And so just patting his back and giving him a pacifier so he would suck. And then eventually we were able to literally release the fingers one by one. Now, obviously, she's going to stand fine doing this, but babies don't stand on this on their own. What you want to do is make sure the feet are bent back so the toes are here. And the couple ways that we shoot it is, one, we can hold here, like there would be one spotter holding here. I would shoot this part of the baby and then hold the head and pull away, whether you hold the head here or here and pull away and do another shot. Take those two images and make a composite.
Just to answer
one of
a
the
quick
ways that I
question,
like. Go ahead.
The fingers, we did actually look at originally with the design that we wanted the fingers and the toes to articulate, but it was almost going to double the price, so that wasn't an option.
Yeah, and it's funny. My daughter asked me that today. She said, "Mom, how come the fingers don't come out or the toes?" And that was my first thought, was probably it was going to be too expensive to do.
That's why we opted for just making them out of a softer silicone, so they still have the bendability, I guess.
Yeah, and I think you don't need to, because here I'm showing that I want to get the wrists underneath the chin, and I want to hold in support here. And some babies are going to go right into an open hand, and some are just going to be totally fisted. I need to get this baby relaxed, and how I do that is making sure the butt is lower, that the legs are spread out, and that the elbows are right underneath the chin, and holding this for support. I have done the froggy pose where the hands have been balled up and it's been okay. So if you can't release the hands, it's okay. It's more of the proper placement that you need some kind of support underneath here. Then what I do is I have an assistant on each side, and they actually put a finger here and here. So if I was the assistant on the side, I would be like this, and the other assistant would be like this. And often that's enough. If it's not enough, then they hold one hand here and one hand on the head. They would each do that. And then if you wait a minute, the baby would settle, and I could say, pull away, shoot this side. Then she holds again, pull away, shoot this side. I would take those 3 images, and I use retouchup.com. I don't even do the composite work. I send them 3 images. One image has this side free. The other image has this side free. And then another image has the hands in, and they put together a perfect froggy pose, and it's absolutely amazing. I know some photographers hold the top of the head, some hold here. But the bottom line with the froggy is the butt is lower. You elevate underneath the elbows. Anything else you want to say about this?
No, I think you're covering it perfectly, actually.
Okay, good. So another thing, and I think you guys already have a video on this, is the chin on hand pose. Is much the same thing. Is I would create a well in the beanbag. This is a pretty firm beanbag, but it's enough that I can create a well in. So having that well where the butt goes or where the feet goes, and having an elevation on top is what's going to be the most successful for the babies when you're doing these poses. And really, it's just getting the bottom below. And, you know, with babies' legs, some like them like this, some like them tucked underneath, where the knees are directly tucked underneath, and some like to be spread out. It really just depends on how the baby's comfort level is. And then taking the elbows out, and I would literally be just doing just as I said. Some babies, it works where you're just doing the hands, and then other babies, I find you have to really overlap a little bit more to get the lift. And you see that every time you've seen a chin and hand pose, it's different how photographers do it. Some do it right on the arms, some like to spread out and do it more on the hands. But the key is having the dip so their body goes down, having something of support, making sure that their feet go with how a baby likes to lay. Some babies want the knees directly underneath, and because they're just comfortable that way. Others don't mind if you take the legs and spread them out a little bit and kind of give them more of a side pose that's been very popular lately. But again, it's always going to depend on the baby. Some babies just like to lay a certain way. And if you ever watch a child sit on their knees, every child sits on their knees a different way. And then here, you know, it's just transitioning, leaning the head this way, leaning the head that way, standing up, shooting down different angles, taking off the flowers, adding headbands, but just making sure that you're elevating this area. And again, having a spotter. Many babies' heads are just, they're too floppy. So if the baby's head is just too floppy, then you've got to have a spotter. And the spotter can just either hold the back of the head or they can hold the top of the head. And we use spotters all the time for our sessions, and probably at least 50% of my chin and hand poses, there's somebody spotting the head, because it's very rare when the baby will just kind of be comfortable just resting on their head alone. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is we're going to wrap her, and I'll have the camera go right over so you can see the wrapping. And if you have anything to say, you guys.
Actually, yeah, what you're just doing there is like if you hadn't balanced her, if you hadn't balanced her correctly and she's still full, you need to have her chin at the right place, and you need to concentrate on technique there as well.
Right.
If that chin was even remotely off to one side, her head would tumble.
Right, exactly. Okay, so now with the wrap, I always keep one side longer than the other. Whether you're doing a wrap from a material, a stretch wrap, we wrap with all sorts of things, as long as it's stretchy. Now, I like to wrap with the arms on the side, but you can put the arms on the chest. The reason why, I used to always do the arms on the chest, and then I just had bumpy chests and it bugged me. But I wrapped that way for probably 5 straight years. Lately, I've been wrapping with the arms down, and when you do this, if the baby is awake and they're fussy, the arms are going everywhere. And so what I tell people all the time is, if you don't have an assistant and you don't have someone spotting, just ask the parent. Moms and dads are totally fine. If I was alone, the first thing I would say is, after I pulled this wrap, is somebody please hold that arm. Just hold the arm for 1 second, because making sure that this stretch wrap is pulled so that there's no more stretch is so important. And then I would tuck the wrap underneath the arm, and again, if this baby is moving at all, I would have a spotter there. And just hold the arm down, and making sure, I don't even worry about the feet. They could be screaming bloody murder. If I get those arms in, literally within seconds, they calm down.
Just to answer a quick question, somebody's asked about the weight, and the weight is currently between 5 and 6 pounds, about halfway between the two. But do you agree, Anna, that it feels a lot heavier?
Oh yeah, she feels like she's like 8 or 9 pounds.
Yes. We've had that feedback, but we're unsure whether or not we should increase her weight. What's your thoughts there?
No, I like the way she feels.
Okay.
She feels like a real baby.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think if she felt lighter, she wouldn't feel real.
Oh no, we were thinking about increasing her weight.
Oh, making her heavier?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, if you can avoid it, I wouldn't, because I think she feels solid enough.
Right, okay, good to know.
And the way she, like you said before, the weight and the balance of it all works with her weight. And I think if it was heavier, it might not be as flexible or as lightweight, which is how babies are, you know? So no, I think her weight's good. So I would put the feet up, and then I'm pulling this wrap tight. I need to pull this stretch out, and that's the biggest mistake that I see people making, is they're just not pulling it tight enough. And I'm pulling it nice and tight. These babies are fresh out of the womb. They're used to being wrapped tight. They want to feel safe and secure. And most often when babies come out of the wrap, they're not feeling safe and secure. So get the feet in, and you can see that nothing is catching on this wrap, by the way. I could have a cut nail and it would catch on this wrap over and over and over again. Nothing has caused her to snag this wrap. So I think if people had wrapping clinics with just the baby alone, I think that they would be 10 times better when they're working with a real baby.
Yeah. Because I know a real baby is going to squirm and move. But again, Sib's about learning your techniques so that when you do come across a baby and it is squirming and whatnot, at least you know what you're doing. So now you can concentrate on what they want. So...
yeah, and I feel like so many photographers get nervous. I mean, sometimes I'm teaching wrapping and I can see the photographers like shaking and sweating, and they're nervous.
Yeah.
And when you're nervous, your energy is being transported to the baby.
Exactly.
And so if you're nervous and you're sweating and you're trying to wrap a baby, that baby is not going to settle. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you practice your technique on a baby, you do this 50 times, oh my gosh, you'll be able to do it with a baby and no problem.
Which is just about building your confidence so that you know what you're doing.
Technique.
And yeah, I think, well, you know, it's like driving. When you first start learning to drive, it's difficult and it feels overwhelming. But, you know, after a while, and once you know what you're doing, it just feels like you're almost on autopilot. So I want to make everyone feel like they're on autopilot so they can just worry about the road and the other cars, or in this stage, the baby and what they need from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What I had explained when I did the Periscope is that I like to do a lot of transitional wrapping. So once I get this shot and the baby's fully wrapped and I'm posing it this way and that way, then I kind of unwrap a little bit and get the arms out and start working in transitions. And I'll just show that real quick. It's hard because I wrapped her really tight. And so I do that with babies.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wrap really tight and then I cannot go in and get the arms out, like right now. So I go in and I try to get her arms out.
I have the same
It's
problem.
I really wrapped it really tight. So I'm going to open up a little bit and get her arms out. They're like really down there. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm unwrapping her. But because I wrapped her so tight. But basically, you know, just easy wrap transitions is, you know, then getting the hands out and going back and wrapping around. And this is another thing that people ask me all the time is like, how do you wrap around? What do you do? Well, you keep the feet up, you put the hands on the chest, you lift the neck up, and you put this wrap around. And just like I'm doing with her is I have to lift her head, I have to get the wrap around and go around and around and around and just create different layers. And then, you know, how you shoot this is you can shoot from above, you can shoot from the side. But I like the idea of using her for technique. I think we have to keep going back to that because I think that a lot of photographers struggle with the technique. Where do I put the wrap? Where do I tuck the wrap? Like the edge of this goes right up under her head, and there she is, all cute. I can shoot from above. I can shoot from the side. I can turn her sideways. I can turn her head. There's so many different ways, and you can even almost, I guess what we'll probably end up coming up with is almost like a transitional posing poster of all the different kind of poses of the SIB baby that you would do in the different angles, and then you kind of, much like when you're working out and you have that poster of the different poses, it's kind of the same thing with the baby, right?
Yeah.
And then it just is just a little guideline of where do you go to next. It's like, okay.
I think for trainers, there's actually so many places that they could take this in their teaching methods. So, like, I'm not a trainer. I have my techniques and I do things the way I do things, but for the experienced training people, the way they can show, even online and whatnot, and what this gives them is, I think it's going to be really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Like me, I've been training for a long time. So as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I should pose her, shoot her, lay out a poster, create a diagram, hand this out to my students and say, this is what we're going to do. And it would take me half the time doing it on a SIB baby and creating a transitional poster than doing it with an actual baby. Because there's so many times I've gone to create things like that and the baby hasn't gone through every single pose that I would like.
Yeah.
So then it's like trying to come up with a transitional flow on one baby is very difficult. But if we do it on this, you could come up with a whole transitional flow poster on this baby, which if you think of all the different training manuals and modes out there, they're all drawings, aren't they?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
They're drawings, whether it's workout, if you buy a newborn wrapping book, they're drawings.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a live drawing.
Exactly. And that's one way to look at it, and that would, like, I can see people in the chat saying, I want that poster, and that's perfect. And then some other trainer will come up with something else as well. I think SIB gives you the time to be creative and to think about your business or where you want to take it or how you're going to explain it and all these things. It affords you the time to be able to do that.
It's a tool that's going to, I guess, allow things to expand, to be able to have different avenues to go down when teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just coming up with like different ideas just like now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I like her like that, and yeah, there's so many. Okay, I like that transitional posing thing idea. Maybe I'll do that with her. Maybe I'll come up with what I'm doing now, each of the different poses, step by step, and come up with a little poster. That's what we'll work on. We're going to work on a poster, Ava. Okay? All right, so we're going to get going. I just want to show just a couple of things posing with her, give you guys a voice, and any last-minute thoughts that you want to tell everyone? And this isn't the last of Annabelle. You're going to be seeing more of her, and I'll be working with her. I have some big ideas for some training tools with her. Any last things that you want to say to anybody?
Actually, there is. I really want to thank you. I want to thank you for your support and your belief in us, because I know I was talking to you the other day and it was not a great day, and you were very supportive and lovely to me, and I really just want to take this opportunity publicly to sort of say, I think you're amazing, and I am so happy to have you helping us and guiding us, and I honestly really, really stoked. And then to all of the wonderful supporters we have on our group, the Standing Baby group on Facebook, they're also lovely too. I think I mentioned the other day, it kind of feels like once this journey's over, we're all going to be best friends, because I feel like we've all got to see our ups and our downs and to get to know each other a little bit, and it's becoming a community. And I'm so thankful of all the support we're getting and all the lovely things people are saying, and how I'm amazed at how much people are giving, not just money-wise, but in their time and their thoughts and what they're offering, and going out of their way and
to answer questions and
yes,
to help
we're
other people.
sleeping and they're answering questions for us, and honestly, I couldn't be doing it without you and without them. And we could talk all day about SIB, and honestly I could, but me thanking people and having them understand how thankful we are and for their support, but honestly from you as well, I kind of feel like you're my little life support at the moment, and I couldn't appreciate it anymore, really, honestly.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. You know, I think that at the end of the day, what we say and what we do, if we're not doing it in a positive light, we're just, what's the point, right? And so when I say that I support somebody and when I say that I believe in with somebody, what I tell my children every single day is do it 150%. And I see that you reached out to me a while ago with this project, and I got to be honest with you. When you first reached out to me, I had like no idea what you guys were doing. I saw the blue doll. I really didn't get it. You reached out, and all I saw was this blue doll, and I had like no idea what you guys were doing. I'm like, yeah, it sounds cool. I'm in. What do you need help with? And I kind of like said it like, yeah, you asked. Sure, I'll help. No idea the magnitude or anything really. But if someone asks me for something, I rarely say no. I'm like, I feel like if someone's reaching out, the least that I could do is reach my hand out and say, yeah, I'll help you. I really have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll help you. And I think we need that in our lives, right? We need to just reach out and say, I need help. I need help.
And
And
I think that's a really amazing attitude, and I want more people in the world like that. Like, honestly, that's such a beautiful attitude.
Well, I think I agree with you that I want more people in the world like that too, because I feel like it can be so lonely.
Yes.
You know, when you're doing a business, look, we all spend endless hours at night, and you know there are times where I'm working at night and it's really lonely out there, right?
Yeah.
You're just in your space, and you kind of get sad sometimes. And I think that the more we can come together as a community and reach out and be honest with each other, and it's okay to say I'm having a good day and it's okay to say I'm having a bad day. I had like a horrible week last week and everybody knew it. And I was like, I need this week to end, you know? And so many people reached out and supported me, what I was going through.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can, I really mean it when I say in 2016, I really hope we can come together as a photography community. And when we see someone struggling, or we see that someone needs a lifeline or a support, or they're starting a new initiative or a new project, that we can just reach out and say, yeah, I'll raise my hand. I'll help. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll help.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I could help.
Yeah.
And I hope that everybody's watching, extends an olive branch out to you, shares this video, passes it on, tells one or two people, chips in for the raffle, whatever you can do, $10, whatever, $15, I'm sure will help. I'll do everything I can to support you, and I'm certain you're going to fulfill your Kickstarter deal. I'm certain.
We hope so, but you know what? Even if we didn't, I think the lessons we've learned. Okay, it hasn't been easy, but the people we've met along the journey, and the goodness, the heart of the world that we've seen. Okay, we've also seen some ugliness in the world, but look, you can't focus on that. The goodness that we've seen in the world and the support we've received.
It far outweighs that.
Yeah. Look, we're lucky people, and we feel lucky.
Yeah.
So.
Aww. Well, I wish you guys a very Merry Christmas.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you
Merry
too.
Christmas.
Everybody out there, Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. If you're watching this on the rewatch and it's already well into 2016, I hope that they go to the Kickstarter page and see that it's fully funded and that sieves are going to be going everywhere. And I thank you guys for watching. Thank Brendan and Sandra for being a part of this, and Jamie for also chiming in.
Yeah.
And of course, Alex for doing all the work it's going to take to get this video out there.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Alex.
everybody.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
Merry Christmas.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right,
See you
bye.
later.
Bye, Annabella. Annabella or Annabella? Is it Annabelle or Annabella? We have to figure that out. We have to create a birth certificate. We're cutting out now. All right, bye.
See ya.
Bye.